When she's seated, you may begin asking her questions. Charlene Miller?
Charisse.
Charisse Miller. All right. Can you spell Charisse?
Cherrise.
All right. You may begin asking her questions.
Charisse, can you tell me about how Samson would act when Mike would bring him into the store?
When Mike and Samson would come in, Samson never left Mike's side very much. He was very, very skittish. His ears were down, his tail was down. When I try and approach him, he didn't like being approached unless Mike was with him, and then I could pet him a little bit. But then he would like go away. When someone came into the shop, I remember the huge bark he had, and we just had to kind of calm him down, or I should say Mike did, kind of calm him down and bring him back to the back of the store. Now, since then, it was just within the last couple of weeks when Rose brought Samson into the shop, and his ears were up, his tail is wagging. He came over and he darn near knocked me over by sitting on my feet and wanted to be pet, followed me around. He's a day and night dog. It was quite an improvement that I saw since he's been with Rose.
But you haven't seen Samson. You saw him that one time in 2023.
Just when Mike would bring him into the shop.
How many times did you see him in 2023?
Oh my goodness, probably, I know twice for sure.
And that was shortly after the two broke up. They terminated their relationship.
Actually, no, they were not broke up at that time. Mike was just with Samson and came in just Mike and Samson. Rose was not at the shop at that time.
All right. So when you saw Samson back in 2023 at the shop, you believe Mr. Hess and Miss Hutari were still in a relationship?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Other questions, Miss Hutari?
No.
You have questions for Ms. Miller?
No, I don't.
All right, you may step down. Thank
you.
Any other witnesses? All right. One last time for either of you to provide me with any testimony, any evidence.
No, Your Honor.
Okay, argument, Mr. Hess.
None.
Ms. Hutari, any argument?
No.
All right, well, when you look at this case, this is Republican, this is dealing with an animal. An animal is a piece of property. I know to people, it feels like a kid, as you explained, Mr. Hess. I too have dogs, I have cats. They become part of your family. Animals can feel like they are members of your family. So I understand that. And I understand how both of you feel very strongly towards Samson. You both want him to be healthy. You both want him to be happy. And you want him to thrive. Originally, in the beginning, Miss Hutari was the 100% owner of Samson. She purchased him back in 2020. She may have purchased him for an ex-boyfriend and gifted him to the ex-boyfriend. Ex-boyfriend didn't take him or have him, so he remained property of Miss Hutari. You both got into a relationship, and then in about, well, she purchased him in 2018. It was 2020 when you got into the relationship after being friends for a while, and then you terminated your relationship. You went your separate ways in April of 2023, and you broke up. Both of you admit that this was a gift, that Miss Hutari gifted Samson to Mr. Hess. You both indicate that there were conditions upon this gift. So this is a gift with conditions, and it is something that can be done. It's a conditional gift. It means a transfer of property where the recipient must fulfill specific conditions, not only to receive, but to keep this gift. this property. And the two conditions were, one, that Mr. Hess give a stable place for Samson to live, and two, that Samson be able to visit with Miss Hutari. Sometime down the road, Miss Hutari, after approximately 3 visits or so, wanted to sever all ties with Mr. Hess, and you indicated, Miss Hutari, you were done. You didn't want to have those visits anymore. You didn't want to see Mr. Hess because seeing Samson means Mr. Hess comes with him. And so you cut off, or you canceled and you terminated that condition. So what remains is the condition of stability or stable. I have in writing in a text message that one of the conditions was a stable place to live. And that was put into a text from Mr. Hess to you, Ms. Hutari. Ms. Hutari, when you testified, you indicated that you did have the condition of that he have a stable environment. When I asked you what that meant, you said, well, we didn't talk about it. I didn't explain what that meant to have a stable environment with Mr. Hess. That means that that term is not defined. It needs to be defined. You need to say you need to have a stable environment where he's going to have a place to live. He's going to have food. He's going to have a bed to sleep in. He's not going to be subjected to this, that, or the other. I understand your concerns that he's left in a car. Well, Mr. Hess is in a bar. You didn't define stable. You didn't define stable environment. And I heard the testimony of Miss Miller. She's a great friend and a great employee, and she wants to be there to support you. She testified as to a condition of Sammy when you two were together. So he was erratic when you two were together. So I don't have any starting point of when he was simply with Mr. Hess versus when he was with both of you together. So by hearing that testimony, it hears that you may have been part of the problem or whatever made Sammy erratic. Maybe it was the tension that Sammy felt between you and Mr. Hess. Maybe you were arguing all the time. Animals are very intuitive. They feel our emotions. They feel when we're sad. They feel when we're happy, they feel when we're nervous. They feel all of those things, and they are there. And so all I have to go on right now is that condition of a stable place to live.
All right, let's talk about that. The curtain finally came down on Michael Hess versus Rose Hutari, and Judge Mogen delivered a ruling that was measured, reasoned, and above all, pragmatic. This wasn't a flashy decision, no impassioned speeches or last-minute surprises. Just a quiet, careful interpretation of what the law demands when people fall out and pets are caught in the middle. The last witness, Sharice Miller, did what she came to do. Speak to the emotional state of Samson, the dog at the center of it all. She painted a stark before and after picture. Samson under Mike's care was skittish, nervous, tail down. Samson under Rose's care, happy, affectionate, tail wagging. But under cross-examination, it turned out she had only seen Samson a couple times in 2023, and those times were while Mike and Rose were still together. Judge Mogen caught that and noted it in her ruling. If the dog seemed anxious back then, it might have had more to do with the couple's deteriorating relationship than with either party's individual care. And then came the judgment. Judge Mogen walked through the timeline with precision. Rose Hutari bought Samson in 2018. When she and Mike Hess got together in 2020, Samson became a part of their shared life. In April 2023, when the couple split, Rose gifted Samson to Mike, but with conditions. Both parties agreed on that point. The gift came with the understanding that Mike would give Samson a stable home and allow Rose visitation. That, the judge noted, qualifies as a conditional gift. It's a legal concept that, as she explained, means ownership depends on meeting those stated conditions. Here's the key. Rose, at some point, unilaterally canceled the visitation condition. She admitted it herself after a few visits. She didn't want to see Mike anymore, and Samson couldn't come without him. That condition, Judge Mogen said, was essentially removed. That left one condition standing, providing a stable environment. And that's where things turned. The judge pointed to a text message in which Mike himself acknowledged that one of the conditions was a stable place to live. She pressed both parties on what stable, mint. And that's where the case unraveled for Rose. She admitted she never defined it. There were no specifics, no benchmarks, not even a basic outline of what stability looked like. Without a clear shared understanding of that term, the judge concluded there was no objective way to determine whether Mike violated it. Judge Mogen closed by reflecting on the power of animals in our lives. She acknowledged that while the law views pets as property, for most people, they're family. She empathized with both parties, acknowledging that each clearly cared for Samson in their own way. But the law demands more than emotion. It requires clarity. And in the absence of a well-defined condition for stability, the court couldn't find that Mike had violated the terms of the gift. So there it was. A deeply human case resolved not by feelings, but by the principles of contract and property law. No winners or losers, just a legal call made with respect and precision. If you found this hearing insightful, consider subscribing, hitting the bell, and letting me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every one.